storms continue to give us severe weather, so mainly just tracking hail and wind. We haven't had tornado warnings in a while. We do have, I'll show you here graphically, a tornado watch could go as long as 6 a.m. So kind of doubt will go that long, but we do have several severe thunderstorms that continue to give us that hail threat that I talked about. So here's one of them, right around Texoma. But the hail part is just down to the south of Texoma and off to the northeast of Stratford. So that one will continue to move off to the east-southeast, it looks like. Could be looking at some quarter, $half hail there. If you're at Groover, unfortunately, we're going to have to keep an eye on that for yet another chance at some hail. Hopefully it goes just to your north. Can't guarantee that. We've had another line develop up around Boise City to Keys, over to Eva. That one will continue to move off to the southeast, not as rapidly, but it's building one down to the south, so that means more rain developing and coming towards Goodwill, Guyman. Flood risk certainly in there with repetitive rainfall. Once again, there's a shot of the hail south of Texoma. Looks like that's going to get them down to Highway 15.
2-inch hail, according to Weather Service, possible.
South of Texoma?
Yep.
2-inch hail on this guy. And this last image indicates to me that Groover definitely going to be in line if it holds that intensity. Places that have already had quite a bit of hail, this is not a good news. We'll bring you down to the storm that was over Pringle. It's kind of really changed its configuration. I think that's trending down pretty rapidly.
I would agree with that.
Still some probably quarter-size hail, and it's right over the Canadian and the Canadian breaks, so not really affecting communities there. Staying north of Pampa, kind of a close call there, but the storm in Roberts County has rapidly shifted over to Hemphill County. That one's trending down. That one is...
With that downward trends, are there up to potential for...
Close to a 70-mile-an-hour straight-line wind gust because it is coming down.
Yep, and we do have a severe warning there, severe thunderstorm warning, that's also going to be because of the wind threat. It looks like the hail is rapidly dropping off there. Good news around Canadian and Miami both. I kind of see the hail, the bow
Yep.
developing right about Highway 60, 83.
West Texas Mesonet in Miami had a wind gust to 64.
Wow.
So that has now moved past, but that means Briscoe, Mobeetie, maybe Wheeler and Allison once again, still 20 to 30 minutes away, but severe wind gusts, straight line wind gusts certainly possible.
That's going to rip through really rapidly, I think. So Canadian, you'll have a prolonged time of some pretty good rainfall, some wind. Miami gusted to 64. I think those peak winds are probably gone. But that second storm behind there, if that does not continue to weaken, we got another one coming towards Miami with somewhat of a hail threat. It just comes down to how well that one hangs in there. These storms continue to surprise us with their tenacity and how they really hang in there. Higgins getting some good rain and some wind, and Lipscomb, you'll continue to get some rain also. But Kevin's right, places out ahead. Lake Marvin, that's going to be a place that catches some wind. Jim, Briscoe, Allison, and Mobeetie. Looks like I don't know if the Weather Service will extend that warning. It's about to the end of it. Miami gusted to 90 miles per hour. You see that?
No.
Miami, 90-mile-an-hour gusts, my goodness.
Oh, yeah, I just come in. I hadn't scrolled down.
90-mile-an-hour wind gusts at Miami. Wow. So we're likely going to hear about a lot of wind damage in and around Miami with that kind of wind. Not a tornado, but we talked about this earlier tonight. It doesn't really matter. 90 mile an hour is, I mean, that's getting close to what, an EF1 tornado. So, you know, damage is damage. The hail threat, I think, is trending down there south of Canadian, but wow, what a rush of air. I'm going to look at velocity in that storm a little closer.
Yeah, we should be able to see that.
Okay, here's Miami. Okay, there it is. Might have been that.
Probably on that band.
Yeah, right on that band. Okay, big straight wind, and that's headed from Canadian down Highway 83 to Briscoe, Mobeetie, Jim, and Allison. You're all candidates to get that kind of straight line wind, but I think most of it's probably focused between Canadian and Briscoe. Following behind it, there's the smaller but fairly intense storm over the Canadian River as that comes into Roberts County.
Broad rotation south of Texoma.
South of Texoma, yeah, that's this guy.
There's a little bit of a suggestion of an inflow notch or a hook there. Open country, but that again, that was heading for Groover,
Yeah.
so worth watching, but no
Highway
tornado
15.
threat to Groover now.
Once again, no tornado warnings right now. Still a formidable line there. It's kind of crossed Boise City to Keys, coming out 412 and slowly approaching Carrick. Maybe some small hail. That's below severe intensity. 90-mile-an-hour wind at Miami. Wow. Okay, once again, if your Texoma core has dropped down to your south over Highway 15 now, we're watching that approaching Groover.
Our boundaries are catching up to each other too. The first one's slowing down, but if you've got them converging, you
Yep.
wonder about the updrafts.
Sure, we're talking about this north of Amarillo. Excuse me. These are like little cold fronts that are pushing out from the storms with rain-cooled air. Outflow boundaries, we call them.
Yeah, and I don't see.
So that's probably hit here at the station. I think we'd hear
Yeah,
if there was major wind.
yeah. I'm kind of looking for any evidence of updrafts. But I don't see.
The closest storm we have to the city, that looks a little better. We're trending down east of Stinnett. This is good news. That's both of these storms trending down now. I think we may have finally started to zap the energy. I have said that before this evening. Miami to Canadian up to all the way up Highway 60 to Glacier and Higgins, just a wash right now with very heavy rain. We've had a ton of lightning. I still see that on tower camera. But now that's really more of a wind threat.
You were exactly
than
right. That
anything
boundary's on top of us. I'm going to go out and just take a look so we have something else to talk
Okay.
about.
Have Kevin popping out for a weather observation. You are coming back.
We'll see.
Okay. All right. Muting Kevin. Thought he might be trying to slink out on me, but he's really just going to go see if there's a outflow boundary. Yeah. Okay, folks. Anybody that's being awakened by thunder, or your weather alert radio has gone off, or your phone, or you're getting some kind of warning. No tornado warnings at the moment. We're on the downtrend, but we're staying on with information because we still have some hail and wind producing storms. And if you're just finding us for information, just a few minutes ago, we had 90-mile-an-hour winds reported at Miami. So those are storms that are still, very capable of doing a lot of damage. And we're going to stay on until this threat dies down, probably a bit longer. We do have some weakening storms, like the one there you see east of Stinnett, but we also have some that are hanging on and just really, really surprising us with their tenacity. There's the one south of Texoma, up in an area that we've already had some big hail. It's moving down to Highway 15. We're kind of worried about that moving towards Groover. It's one of the stronger hail cores we have at the moment. And we might be looking at some golf balls there. We'll get a new image and see if we have any trend down on that. When we get back into Cimarron County, just a solid squall of mainly heavy rain. Pea to marble size hail, maybe dimes, but sub-severe. It's just not moving too much. So this area has already had quite a bit of rainfall. We'll just kind of treat that as a flood threat in Cimarron and Texas counties. Did you see anything interesting?
I can report there is good news for Amarillo, Potter County, northern portion of Randall County, Claude, Adrian Vega. The boundaries coming in, there's no vertical development, cloud development on it, so it's mostly density there that we see that's showing up on these. Actually, when we go to radar scope, and we can talk about those. But we're watching these boundaries, which act like little miniature cold fronts sometimes. And there we go. They can provide lift, but I see no vertical development and can confirm a cool northeast wind behind it, which will stabilize things for the Interstate 40 corridor, reducing the chance that any storms would develop.
One would hope.
Amarillo, White Deer, Panhandle, Groom,
Okay.
Vega, Radium. Yeah, Adrian.
Little update. We'll start to the north down. I mentioned this as being mainly a flood threat now in Cimarron and Texas counties. You know, at most, P to marble hail in there briefly. This is looking a little bit better south of Texoma. I think we're probably losing our rotation there. Storm's diving down to the southeast. Still has a hail core of maybe $0.50 in it over Highway 15. So Groover, we continue to watch that. This storm continues to weaken. Still severe east of Stinnett, but that's coming down. We'll look for some latest information.
I get at the storm south of Texoma. The Weather Service reporting it is still healthy looking with regard to severity. There is some rotation, but not any immediate tornado threat from that one.
Good, okay, no tornado threat, nothing immediate anyway. So we'll drop you on down to where we have the heavy rain and yeah, this storm is, I mean, this complex is pretty much collapsing. Hail threat going down. Might be some small hail around Briscoe and Allison. The main threat on this guy, though, is that wind. Yeah,
when they come down, that cold, heavy air that's making up these thunderstorms, when that comes crashing down to the ground and it hits, it only can do one thing, and that's spread out. And so that's where you get your straight line wind damage potential. And that's going to come into Allison here in the next couple of minutes. And then even behind the initial blast, it's going to be little swirly stop and start type winds, a little bit of chaos right behind the initial blast. But really a good trend as it approaches the Texas-Oklahoma border. But the wind threat is definitely there.
Must be stabilizing a little bit in the northeast because both of those storms, those eastern two, are weakening.
Oh, and that the Weather Service has got a 90-mile-an-hour comment, obviously taking that earlier report, but 90-mile-an-hour comment in their warning text.
Okay, yeah, so it's going to take that a while to blow itself out for sure. Mm-hmm. And then we have hail that could be approaching Groover, so that's why we're on feeding the information just for people waking up or have been following storms and they're finally getting to your location, or you've had an alarm or something go off and you want to know what's going on. Fortunately, we can say that we don't have any tornadoes in progress or tornado warnings.
Yep, straight line winds. So moments away, less than 5 minutes from Obedi, certainly less for Briscoe if you're not getting it already. Allison, 5 minutes plus, 5 to 8 minutes plus. You're going to get that potential for a strong wind gust. Gem, same story within a couple of minutes. Now back on the backside of it for Canadian, your range should start to let up in just a couple of minutes. The hail cores decreasing in coverage, but also Glazer, your range going to let up. Higgins, your range going to let up. You get a temporary reprieve in Miami with yet another storm developing south of Spearman, east of Stinnett, which is severe warm, but the hail course coming out of that one as well. So Dave's comment, fingers crossed, is maybe we're seeing stuff hit some stability in the northeastern part of the region. I would say at this point for the hail threat, the main show is along Highway 15, a few miles west of Groover, but that is yet another round of hail.
Yeah, that's hanging in there. That's, you know, and just based on what we've tracked earlier tonight, that's probably $0.50 hail there, and maybe even bigger. Right as Highway 15 makes its jog to the southeast.
Yeah, it's moving quick, and there is definite rotation in that storm.
Yeah.
No tornado warning yet. I'll check with the Weather Service.
We need to disrupt that.
Yeah. Stratford storm, possible golf ball size hail. Getting some pictures coming in on the chat. Nothing else new.
Okay, I was going to show a quick shot from downtown Amarillo. You know, you can see lightning.
And there's your little boundary too. See the
Yeah,
little roll cloud?
right.
That's our little outflow boundary that we talked about.
But we're not. You know, the good thing there is we're not seeing vertical development. We're not. We've got this little roll cloud. That's just we're getting a little bit of lift, a little bit of condensation. Look at all that lightning due north though, right dead center. That's the Texoma storm.
Yeah, and I've got, when you're ready, I've got the lightning,
Okay.
the live lightning on Max 1 here.
All right, it's on you.
This is an hour's worth of cloud to ground lightning strikes. It does not include the in cloud or cloud to cloud lightning, but these are cloud to ground strikes. And over the hour, it gives you obviously the trend and the incredible frequency. I mean, look at the number of bolts there. And then I'll pause it and we can watch the actual strikes instantaneously as they occur. There are the two orange ones that popped up right there. And then they'll sit and age themselves. Now there's 3 at a time, and that's in that shot right as well. So the lightning frequency is just tremendous in this. Oh, and while I'm sitting here, just because we're weather geeks, we'll show only the positives. Look at the number of positive strikes, Dave. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, that's unusually impressive there.
Yeah, there's positive and negative. Here's the negative ones. Here's the positive. That's pretty close to 50-50.
Yeah.
I would say. So,
Ton of
sorry,
lightning.
geeking out, but that's what we do.
Okay, here's some of the live lightning strikes.
That
taking
roll
place.
cloud getting closer.
Yeah, so that's going to be a little wind shift. And, I think that's already come through NewsChannel 10. Now it's coming into downtown and heading south. Nothing to be alarmed about there. Let's see what we have going on as far as...
They're just reporting, Weather Service reporting a confirmation on that wind gust. I got a time on it. That was at 1:19, so what, 25 minutes ago at Miami. The Mesonet site there, West Texas Mesonet site, getting a peak gust of 90 miles per hour.
That's amazing. Here's a shot from Lake Meredith, Kevin. That just,
Excuse me, I'm so sorry about that.
wow, look at that.
Quite a bit of lightning continuing.
Here's our watches and warnings. Tornado watch in the yellow, still, could go to 6 a.m.
And I saw them southwest too, probably worth checking.
Yeah.
Now that's
here.
below our area most likely.
Yeah, that's all out of our area. So we do have some
Oh, it
warnings
is,
down
you're
to our south. They don't
Sorry.
seem to be working towards us.
No, and they're heading east.
Okay, but here's what we have. Here's the storm that generated that 90-mile-an-hour wind at Miami. It's coming into Mobile, Briscoe, Allison, Jim, almost all of Hemphill County, but starting to wind down at Canadian. So if you're Canadian, it's going to be settling down rapidly. I got little hail core there, northwestern Roberts County. Doesn't look like that storm's going to uptick, I don't think.
Cleared out in Miami. You're done for the moment. There's still another potential storm to your northwest, so you could have another round in or north of Miami. Canadian, your rain is ending, so good news there. If it hasn't ended in Glazer, it will in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Same story for Higgins, so you will be able to get a break. And that wind core is now right on.
Coming into
That's
Allison.
the thing that reported, that prompted the 90-mile-an-hour gust. That wind core is now closing in on the Texas-Oklahoma border. But yeah, Allison will pick up. Briscoe, you're in it. Now Wheeler, I think you're going to get a blast of wind as well. I think you've been largely spared. But Mobile, if you're not getting it yet, it's moments away. There'll be a little bit of small hail there, but the wind threat on that line persists. and these little cores of 60, 70, 80 miles per hour are certainly possible. Again, as Dave said, for Allison, Briscoe, I think your potential wind gust threat is going to move past here in the next minute or two, but it will increase in Wheeler. And then I think in the next 10 to 15 minutes, we can send that cell over to Oklahoma as well.
There's a storm that's coming in behind it, Kevin.
Yeah.
Mainly rural parts of northern Roberts County. Spreading over Highway 70, a little south of the river now. One little patch, what could be lingering hail back there. This guy's coming in behind that big outflow, that big bow, and I kind of doubt it's going to...
Yeah, don't say it.
Okay, all right. Forget what I was thinking. But it does look like Groover might have to deal with another round of hail. In fact, it's looking more likely. Looks like we've got a few new cells trying to develop over Stratford. Have to keep an eye on those. And we get up into the Oklahoma Panhandle. We're a little bit stronger there, southeast of Keys.
Yeah, and here maybe a little explanation to our maintenance on these storms. I'm looking at the VAD winds off the Amarillo radar, which is showing us wind direction and speed with height. So you get 2,000 to 3,000 feet, we've got a 30-knot wind, but then we get up to 25 to 35, 40,000 feet. I got a peak wind of 75 miles
Okay.
per hour at 40,000 feet. So what's happening there, the wind at the top of these thunderstorms is much faster, and so it's actually pulling air out of the tops of the thunderstorms and zipping it along off to the east, but that air has to be replaced, and so I think that's one of the things that's maintaining the updrafts on these, Dave.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because, you know, we're cooling at night. We've got outflow from storms.
There's not a huge shortwave
No.
coming across, so that's one of the things that has helped us.
Normally we got negative developments for storms, but the
Right.
fact that they're hanging in there and even severe is pretty impressive. I mean, and I think it has to do with that wind shear you're talking about. I got a little blip on the New Mexico line I want to go show you.
Oh yeah,
That's brand new. Boom. That's,
there's some sort of a boundary there too.
tell you what, that's to pop up in one frame like that and look like that.
Well, and the cloud tops are cooling.
This might be one to watch. It's on the state line at I-40.
And you're exactly right, because if it were to maintain and go east and interact with those outflow boundaries
Yeah.
that are now at Amarillo, there you're showing them right there.
Yeah.
So that is the point at which really funky things can happen with regard to the wind direction and little spin-up tornadoes, because you've got wind direction changing over a very short period of time in the low levels of the atmosphere. That's still a minimum of an hour away, but just something to note.
I'll tell you that the speed of development has me a little bit concerned.
It really is.
I mean, that's just in a little eruption. Okay.
Weather Service reporting Allison, Briscoe, only quarter-size hail now, and the wind potential, we've talked about is
Yeah.
there and then moving east.
Okay. So yeah, most of Hemp Hill and the northern part of Wheeler County fully involved with a severe thunderstorm that really now more of a wind threat as it races off to the east. We expect strong straight wind around Briscoe, Allison, and Jim. Could be damaging. Miami took a 90-mile-an-hour gust, and it's that same thrust of outflow that's coming through there. It's followed up by that storm in rural northern Roberts County. Small pocket of hail possible there. And then we have this guy that's producing hail west of Groover, which has been a pretty active area here tonight.
Oh, and we got our first lightning strike on that New Mexico County one.
That didn't take long.
Nope, just east of Bard it is.
Yeah, right
Coming
on
across the border right now, but our first cloud-to-ground lightning strike on that. Before too long, we might be able to see something on that on the Bushland tower cam.
A little bit of development trying to pop up in Dallam County there. We'll keep an eye on that. And then here's our New Mexico guy that just erupts. That'd be, Kevin,
Yeah.
you like to point out that the travel stop there.
Yep.
Just
And
on the,
to
I'll
comment
just-
on your Dallam stuff, the clouds are starting to build. They're not cooling rapidly, but clouds starting to build in Dallam County. And that trend I see would suggest that that would keep going and eventually start creating or producing some precipitation.
All right. Groover, we're watching for perhaps hail if that doesn't weaken rapidly. All kinds of wind and rain. Hemphill, northern Wheeler County. Nothing for Amarillo, but we've been pointing out our alpha boundaries, plural.
Oh, 2 lightning strikes on our news
Okay.
storm.
There's the first wind shift boundary. It's coming in the city. We haven't seen any development along it, but what we're watching now, storm popping rapidly on the state line, and you can kind of see if that moves east. We do have those boundaries that we'll have to watch carefully.
No vertical development still for Amarillo, so that's good.
Yeah, this one's kind of a surprise actually out here.
Big time.
I mean, what would be the impetus for that development if we don't have a shortwave? Because we've cooled, you know? I'm just thinking aloud here. You know?
Yeah, your shortwave comment, that makes you think. I mean, we've got those boundaries. There could be a little ripple even ahead of what's showing up on radar.
It's
But
going
that-
fast.
That is going fast. There,
Okay.
and I just saw a
The lightning,
lightning. Yeah.
Okay, folks in Adrian, Sims, Walcott, that area.
Boy, and that lightning's picking up fast. Zoom
Yeah, we
in
got a
out there.
Quickly developing storm in the western part of the
Look
Panhandle.
at this. So
Yeah,
we've had a
so-
couple of cloud to ground,
so-
but the in-cloud lightning is really, and this one's going to have trouble with focus. Just so you know, I can try and
Yeah.
keep it, but that camera at night has never had.
Okay, we're developing a few thunder showers around Stratford. So you're going to be getting lightning and rain. There's the line.
There's one north of Dalhart too now.
Yeah. Around where?
Back here.
Okay, the Groover storms, quick update. We're still severe. We still have hail in that. Maybe trending down just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
We're going to give that other one to Oklahoma, the big cluster. That's
Okay.
the 90-mile-an-hour gust producing. So
Still-
Wheeler, you're going to get a gust of wind in Wheeler here in a minute. Kelton.
yeah, and Allison, you're still probably blowing pretty hard there. But looking like things are moving out of Canadian, out of Miami. Right now, the heavier rain would be Mobeetie, Briscoe, up to Lake Marvin, and Jim, and Allison. But this was the same storm that generated that 90-mile-an-hour wind over towards Miami. Yeah, we got a downward trend, at least in the size of the cell. It's coming in behind that, northwest of Miami.
Weather Service has extended the flood warning for Hansford, Hutchinson, Hemphill, Roberts, Ochiltree, and Lipscomb counties. Flood warning extended until 6:30 this morning.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
that's what happens when you get storm after storm after storm
Yeah.
over the same area.
I'm going to do a rainfall estimate here. Let's take a look at this. Oh, wow. Here's, okay. You can kind of see the track,
yeah.
the swath of,
Repeated,
yeah, where multiple cells have moved.
and northwest of Canadian,
Yeah,
into 3 to 4. That could be a little hail contamination, but
here we go. This is what we're talking about. Up there, yeah,
3.5.
estimated like 3.5 inches of rain there. Okay, I think
cloud tops continuing to cool on our Bard storm.
all right, let's see. I bet I can go without.
Oh, that's right on a boundary. I see it on the cloud, on the satellite. We were asking where that's coming from. Yeah, there's a boundary there. So
I'm
some
on,
little shortwave has come across.
Weather one right now. Just so I do this. I'm just on that.
And I'm going to check batteries again. Mine's okay. So of interest is our, oh, that's me, okay. I'll do a little radar tour. Let's show the broad view. And look at those boundaries near Amarillo. That's crazy. Okay, just because I'm interested at the rapid development on the one that Dave originally found, that's near Bard, east of Bard, right on the Texas-New Mexico border, and really, really strengthening and expanding very quickly. You can see it getting closer to Sims. The general trend on these has been as they develop, they sort of develop eastward and then tend to take a little bit more southeastward trek. So that's going to be all along and through Deaf Smith County. But that one has some potential to continue to strengthen and move eastward. And it'll be interesting to watch those boundaries interact with it too.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of it. Yeah, lightning's staying steady on that, Kevin.
Mm-hmm. I think
Yeah,
our little cell northwest of Miami might be ready to meet its maker. It's going to trail right in the big cluster that's moving into Oklahoma. So I think we've got some help for that one in that
I wonder
it may
if-
be trying to decrease.
I wonder if we are getting a little shortwave, Kevin, because look at it really fill in new stuff north of Stratford. I mean, that's rapid development in there, and that's also away from any boundaries.
I'm sorry, which one are you looking at?
I was looking up here north of Stratford, how it just fills in all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I think we might be getting
you're
some
still
kind
on
of-
me.
Ah. Okay. Well, here we go. You see rapid new development there, Stratford, Texoma. You have to watch out for a flood threat in there here pretty soon, too. Looking at Groover, there's that hail threat again. Yeah. And wind, too. Looks like it's bowing a little bit. So that'll be coming into Groover the next 10 minutes. Okay, about to see the storms exit Hemp Hill and Wheeler County. City of Wheeler, windy with pretty heavy rain, lightning. Looks like the hail threat down, and also the storm that's behind it, approaching Miami, seems to be shrinking pretty rapidly. So the strongest hail core is this guy right here, coming into Groover, which has already had hail tonight. Looked like that was about $half size, more of that on the way. Bringing out to New Mexico, this is where our newest storm is, which just kind of erupted out of nowhere. It's around Glen Rio on I-40, just to the southwest of Adrian. But this storm has expanded and intensified a little bit. Plenty of lightning out to the west of Amarillo if you're looking that way.
Yeah, I was going to say the cloud to ground strikes have decreased a little bit. I'll keep an eye on that because that will give us some. Yeah, but the cloud top, really right over San Juan, is cooling.
Okay.
So that's, yeah, you can see the new echo there.
Yep.
So, and I think for Sims, that maybe that's not particularly heavy rain heading your way. A lot of that's probably in the anvil, the developing anvil of that storm. And no big hail threat from that one right now. But perhaps some vertical development on the boundary near and east of Vega. I'm again watching satellite here.
Got two severe thunderstorm warnings. One is Hansford County. There's the hail coming into Groover. quarter to $50 would be my estimate on that. I have to see if that moves south enough to affect Spearman. Right now it's kind of moving east. Looks like a good, well, we almost certain that we'll have more hail there in Groover. Up in the Oklahoma Panhandle.
Weather Service acknowledging our western storm, growing stronger, they say, which we've said as well. They are keeping an eye on that one to see what that updraft is going to do. Dropping wind speeds to 70 miles per hour on the Hemphill-Wheeler storms, and those in the next 10 minutes will move over into Oklahoma.
Yeah, pretty much moving out of Hemphill County right now. So we're looking at Wheeler to Allison. It's building south a little bit. I think Shamrock, you're going to get grazed a little bit. The brunt of the wind up by Allison, but pretty heavy rain. It won't last very long, but pretty heavy rain at Wheeler, approaching Kelton, Twitty, maybe building down to I-40 and Shamrock. Yeah, I still have a quick downtrend on that storm that had been severe coming out of Morse. That was about done, so I think we can write that one off. But the run around Groover still hanging in there with a pretty good hail core. It'd probably be the largest hail core we have right now. Up towards Stratford, Texoma, Cimarron, and Texas counties, just really expanding out to a large area of rain with maybe some pockets of small hail. And then rapidly developing and expanding is this activity on the
Really
Texas
is.
and
Look
Mexico
at that
line.
spread.
Yeah, it's just, that's going all the way from Sims to San Juan now.
Mm-hmm.
And the intensity is up too.
And I'll just note that Alex and Caleb have returned home. I see them coming into the parking lot. We thank them for extremely good coverage and good pictures tonight. Yeah, this western storm is going to be really interesting because we may get a temporary boost, even though it's already strengthening, from the boundaries that are about to come 40. But then behind those boundaries, as I observed when I went outside, is colder air. So that would help keep the intensity down.
Yeah, that's going to be.
If that one continues, because right now that storm is in moist, humid air.
Yeah.
It'll be in cool, humid air, which is less conducive to large strengthening, but the rapid expansion both east and west is stunning.
Definitely something to watch. And Adrian might be one of the first places affected. A lot of lightning, we're watching that. Might even be some small hail back to the west of Sims, but yeah, quickly forming and spreading. We'll see what kind of interaction we get with those boundaries in time. A lot of lightning on that.
Yeah. Okay, now good news on satellite for our western storm. We had a cooling trend, meaning strengthening trend, and now it's leveled off just a bit and leveled off. I don't want to say warming yet, but the strengthening of that one, at least temporarily, has ceased, even if the coverage is getting bigger. But I don't see an uptrend in the higher DBZs suggesting hail at this point, certainly.
Good. All right, Groovers, it's on you. Another round of hail. And building towards Spearman pretty rapidly. Let's see what we got.
Okay, give me just a second. I'll comment on that western storm with our friends at the Weather Service. Oh, they're saying that it's a 700 millibar convergence area.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if the outflows help to support it and perhaps make it stronger briefly, but then if that cold air would do something to it. But they're observing that the cloud tops had been cooling, maybe have leveled off for a minute or two.
Pretty much what you had described earlier, Kevin. All right, a lot of rain there north of Stratford, just it's all non-severe. So that's coming back into Texoma, Goodwell, Guyman. Stratford, you'll get in on some of that eventually.
Yeah, and the hail core is going to move out of Groover here in the next 5-10 minutes, which would put it out of the severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll see if the Weather Service wants to extend that T-storm warning further east towards Spearman. But they're going to have to make that decision pretty much now because it's moving out of the box. They can reissue it later, but they're not going to make it consistent, it looks like. And the end time on that one is 2:15. So we'll see if they're going to let that one expire. That would be my suggestion right now.
I bet they look for another scan and see what's going on. Okay, so that's our strongest hail core right now over Groover. Maybe, I don't know, $50 ping pong balls.
Okay, this is good news. They've put out a special weather statement for Spearman, which is a notch below a severe thunderstorm warning. So their comment on that one is now hail between a 3/4 and 1 inch, so that's below severe limits, and wind to 50 miles per hour. So that's the departing storm from Groover. It will head towards Spearman, but again, right now, perhaps a downward trend as opposed to an upward or strengthening trend with a special weather statement as opposed to a severe thunderstorm warning, Dave.
Right. Okay, well, that is good news. Hopefully we start trending down on that intensity. The other severe warning is out in Hemphill and Wheeler County, and a lot of the storms already moved out of Hemphill County, so we're just kind of hanging on to the tail end of that cluster around Wheeler and Kelton before it moves over into Oklahoma. That one's about out of here. The storm behind it weakening rapidly. That's the trend we like to see. And then this warning will expire in about another 7 minutes.
7 minutes, yeah.
And
then that would free us of warnings.
Yep. And then this is just non-severe rain at the moment that's building down towards Highway 54. We will need to continue the flood vigilance. Just there's been, we saw places that have had a couple inches of rain already. And then we have to watch our guy out in the west.
Everybody's waiting with bated breath for that to interact with those boundaries.
Yeah.
That 4-wave outflow boundary.
So yeah, on the state line, approaching Adrian, coming into Sims and Walcott. It's mainly heavy rain. We don't have a warning on that, but it popped up rapidly, strengthened rapidly, and it's still pretty strong. I mean, it's just below severe intensity, I think.
Yeah, and it's got to get a brief, at least a brief strengthening boost from Adrian west on 40 and south.
Yeah.
Whether that maintains or not remains to be seen, but it's going to have an uptick. And we're starting to see some DBZs suggesting a little bit of small hail as well. I'm looking at KFDX, KFDX right now.
Interesting radar feature here for Amarillo. I mean, everybody's seen outflow boundaries, but this is odd to have like 3 individual fine lines. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
I don't either. Excuse me.
Okay, there's the storm approaching. See, it is moving from west to east.
And if you want to take radar scope, we can see the increase in intensity, and it looks like it's about peaked, but there's a couple of little small hail cores.
Yeah.
It's not warned on yet, but again, we get into our purple, which is 55, 60 dBZs.
Right.
Largely out in open country, but you're going to start hearing some thunder in Adrian. You may get a little bit of rain. There's probably some rain falling on Interstate 40 right now, but not severe. But given the trend, I think certainly for Vega, easily 20 to 30 minutes away. Anybody there would be feeling that storm. And then eventually Bushland, Amarillo, if it holds together.
Okay, we're looking from Bushland out to the west, right down I-40. And not surprisingly, just like we've seen so many of these storms, just very frequent lightning. This one not quite as continuous. Some of those storms we saw earlier, but this is kind of early in the ball game for these guys.
Yeah, I'm going to say the intensity's leveled off, which is helpful on our western storm.
Oh, did I? Yeah. Let me move my radar around. Yeah, storm moving out of Groover now, at least the hail. Spearman, it's hanging in there with a little bit of hail. The Weather Service says they'll let this expire and come up with a special weather statement just to continue the awareness of it. It's definitely a down tick on the hail size and coverage too. That one is weakening. But in Spearman, you can expect, I'm going to say, something like penny to nickel size hail, heavy rain, lightning, and gusty winds. Filling in just good old non-severe rain. Stratford getting in on that, up to Texoma and Goodwill. Guyman will be in and out of some of that, I believe. I don't think we'll get into that hail again. So the last warnings we've had would be this one, which is about to expire here in 2 or 3 minutes. And then this one, the storm is rapidly moving out of the warning area.
New cell, though, east of Miami.
Yeah. The one behind it weakening rapidly.
Yeah.
Let's check on the west.
Waiting on the convergence between the boundary.
Almost.
Fascinating. It's getting into the wind farms, the boundary into the wind farms now around Vega and Adrian. So all those turbines will be spinning around in a minute.
That's right.
From south to north.
And I'll zoom out to see if we have anything else going on. Little activity southwest of Dimmitt is non-severe. Everything else is outside of our area, except over there towards Quanah, I guess. Paducah getting some pretty good rainfall. Not severe, but pretty steady down at Paducah. The other storms, and there's a couple of warnings, but they're staying south of our area. A couple of little blips south of Tulia, not much reason to be concerned. South of Adrian.
Yeah, those have leveled off. They're not strengthening, but let's see what the boundary does.
Still want to see if we get any intensification when it hits the boundary. If nothing else, it might spread out.
Yeah.
And give us at least a chance of rain.
I think for a couple of minutes, a little intensification, but I felt that cool air behind this one when I went outside, and that's going to do a lot to choke it off.
A lot of lightning in there. Okay, once again, severe weather out of Groover. Strong storm coming into Spearman. I think you'll get some hail in Spearman. It's not the big stuff.
And even for non-weather geeks, if you want to punch up radar scope again, you can really, really see those boundaries.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah, and I'm not so sure it's just all outflow boundary. I think there's some other force at work there.
Okay, Weather Service, they're turning their attention. They've already had their attention on that Deaf Smith County storm. Also accompanying the northwestern portions of the Panhandle. That we haven't checked on Dalhart, I think. Some small hail there, but the Weather Service estimation are in and around Dalhart or north of there would be that cluster of storms may have some small hail, but their estimation now is overall those should remain sub-severe for the rest of the night.
Yay.
Yeah.
So that's the,
You're still on radar scope.
Oh, okay. That's the Stratford, Texoma, Guyman, Goodwill stuff.
Yep. So
All right.
the intention, I say intention, wishfully speaking, is for those to remain sub-severe. And we've cleared Spearman, no warning there.
New image.
That expired.
Yeah, that
Or is that
a
no,
marked
that one wasn't.
decrease.
The other one, yeah. So are we out of warnings now? We've passed 215.
That's it.
I think we're out of warnings.
Yeah.
Nope. No, I'm sorry. Looking down the levee. Spoke too soon.
Wait.
Yeah.
Well, that's not in our area though, right?
No, my mistake. We are out of warnings. We have two, let me switch my radar. We have two special weather statements, but let me catch up.
New
on
cells going up
my
at
computer.
Logan and Ute Lake. We're close to there.
Mm-hmm. But now we're done with severe thunderstorm warnings for the time being. Let me get some text on the special weather statements. The one around Wheeler. Wind gusts to 50, 55. No mention of hail, which is good. So just brief gusty winds.
There's
Places like Allison, Layla, Shamrock, Wheeler, and Twitty.
Yeah, it's mainly a wind threat there.
Yep. And our special weather statement on Groover Spearman reads less than 1 inch hail, 50-mile-an-hour winds, moving east rapidly at 40 miles per hour, wind gust up to 50, and nickel-size hail, which again is below severe limits.
Yeah, that one's trending down. Still strong, but trending down. That's going to affect Spearman to Waka, Farnsworth. Yeah, I think really, Kevin, the interesting element left and really the threat of any more severe weather is going to be right here.
And special weather statement coming for that one, 55-mile-an-hour wind, nickel-size hail. So below severe limit right now, but we'll want to watch the trend on that one. Let me check.
Right, we still have that we still haven't quite had our boundary interaction.
No,
So that continues to move east. We've got it south of Adrian to Sims. Won't take much longer, I think, for it to affect, or at least start to raining in Adrian and Vega.
Yep.
Of course, you know, for Amarillo, Bushland, Wildorado, Canyon, places that haven't had storms yet. This would be probably the biggest threat we've had all night.
Yeah, and west of the border into New Mexico, cooling cloud tops there.
Yeah, those
So there's a
developing
strengthening trend there.
developing near Logan. A little uptick, rapid. That's been the case out there, man. Just quick development. Boundaries getting closer. As I watch the Bushland camera there. Yep, still quite a bit of lightning.
Fascinating storm.
Yeah, something we don't see very often. It's kind of a unique pattern right there. And wouldn't you know it, late at night. That's moving pretty much due east. Crossing 214 now in the northern part of Deaf Smith County, at around Sims. Adrian, got a lightning threat for you. So the storm would not have to get much stronger to have a warning on it. I mean, it's just below severe intensity.
Yeah, I got an hour's worth of lightning on max 1, if you wish. Just a couple of cloud to ground lightning strikes, but there are a number of them.
Yep. Okay, back on radar. Right now, it's just kind of waiting to see what this does. I'll give you a quick review on watches and warnings. Something we haven't seen in hours and hours is no current warnings in our area. The tornado watch that was issued to replace the first one that went to 11 that had most of the area, and then this one was issued later to go to 6 a.m. It's not going to go that long. Right now we don't have any severe storms in that area. This will be discontinued early, but it's just a celebratory moment that we don't have any severe warnings in our area.
And the special weather statement's out. Locations mentioned Vega, Glen Rio, Hereford, interestingly, Wildorado, Sims, and Adrian.
Okay, and new development up there around Logan, pretty rapid. So we got a large area of rain and storms developing, and there's, I don't know, looks like a little uptick in intensity to me, Kevin, just south of I-40, west of Adrian.
Yep.
Yeah, and getting close to Highway 385.
Yeah, and maybe starting to feel the influence of those waves, those boundaries, which is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. So. Kevin mentioned, well, he read off Hereford. Looks like everything's staying north of there. It's going to be an I-40 event. Once again, if you look at different radar product we have here, what we're waiting to see is what happens when these storms developing to the west run into this outflow boundary, which is acting like a little cold front. We may get new development on the wind shift, the leading edge. The current storms that are there could either get stronger or weaken. We don't really know. We'll see what happens there, but that's going to happen first around Adrian and Vega on I-40. So what we're doing on our information stream here, even though we don't have any warnings right now, we got to wait and see what happens here.
Nerd.
Well, you know, the last thing we want to do is stop our stream of information and then have another round of severe storms and warnings go up.
Especially closer to Amarillo and
Yeah.
the more populated areas.
And places that we haven't had storms yet. And when you think about it, if we get a warning that takes in Potter and Randall County, then all of a sudden it activates, it sets into motion all these notifications. So people are awakened, weather radios go off, and then people need information, and we want to be on if that happens. That's our philosophy there.
You're on radar scope.
Yes,
Okay. There's a little blip there west of Canyon.
I see that. I don't know what that is. Looks like birds coming back home or something. I don't know. Okay, but I will flip over to our regular radar. It's like a new little updraft on 385 south of Vega. So yeah, wouldn't you know, about the time we get our severe weather over with in the north, not to say this is going to be severe, but we have a new area of concern, we'll say. The severe storms to our south continue to push east and stay south of our area. I'm not too concerned about that. We're waiting to see the interaction between storms that have developed during the last half hour as they move closer to Amarillo and interact with some boundaries. Right now, these are sub-severe. mainly heavy downpours, quite a bit of lightning, and can't rule out some small hail in there, but certainly no tornadoes. Not seeing rotations in that line. Let's see, Kevin, you mentioned earlier SBC outlook. Do we have a new one for Sunday, or do we have to wait till morning?
I think I checked a little while ago. We have to wait,
Yeah.
but I will look again.
All right, so Adrian Vega, you'll be the first to get this line, as Sims too. You've already had some rain and lightning. It is moving up towards I-40, Highway 385.
No change for Sunday. Still the enhanced for most of the
Okay.
area.
Is that now a day 2 outlook, or
Yes.
what's the tornado outlook?
5% eastern, 2/3.
Okay. Well, that means we need to wrap this baby up because we're going to need some sleep tomorrow. Storm season just really hitting its peak and lingering. And June's kind of a volatile time. Sometimes we get an early ridge and severe weather just shuts off. But
Yep.
if you stay with a upper level flow out of the southwest,
And I will say, I have been looking for that ridge, and it shows up next weekend.
yeah, it's we're about 10 days out on that, aren't we, man?
I'm going to say 7.
Okay.
And be optimistic.
All right. We'll go with that. Update there around Spearman storm
just
about to
looking at
move
that.
on out.
There's a little boost in the DBZs, though,
Just a little boost.
and the
yeah.
wind core.
And that's south of Waka, moving east, rural, southern Ochiltree counties where that's headed. But if you're in Spearman and you had some rain and small hail, that'll be moving out. We don't have a warning on that.
And if you want to, pardon me, if you want to go to radar scope, there's a good outflow boundary from that Spearman cell moving southward, which should help stabilize the stuff behind it. Or keep
Okay,
it
I'll
from
do that.
strengthening, if I make that comment.
There we are.
Yep. There's some
Man.
cooler air in there,
Kinda-
hopefully.
So yeah, that's what we're talking about too. This rain cooled here
Yep.
should limit the energy out here, basically is what we're saying. If we take a look now down at this really, really strange configuration, I'm going to argue that I think this is stability.
Yep.
You know, kind of like when you see the herringbone-like clouds at the surface. That may be, in fact, on satellite, that may, if we had a visible, we might see that.
Yeah, and let me check the IR, see what it's doing there.
Staying just to the north of Hereford, spreading into Adrian now. Let's pick it up here. So the storms in the northern part of the area now sub-severe. Still getting plenty of lightning on that stuff to the west. Quick uptick in intensity around Ute Lake.
Checking the bad winds at 4,000 feet, the wind is now going around to the northeast. So there at the radar, we're experiencing that boundary having come through.
Okay. Well, nothing else that wipes out a little bit of our shear.
And gives us a cool air base.
Yeah.
But we got some 50, 60 knot winds at 30,000 feet.
Okay. Storms have cleared Sims and pretty quickly approaching Vega. I think we're just getting Adrian in on the edge of this little cluster coming down I-40. It's made it to 385 north of Hereford. Getting our boundary intersections now. Yeah, I think by Adrian we're getting a collision just now starting. So we'll see what happens over the next 15, 20 minutes.
Yep, Weather Service saying in the chat they're watching the same thing. Possible strengthening. My guess / hope is a brief intensification by the extra lift. But then I just don't know if it'll maintain with cooler air behind it. Because I have stepped out into that cooler air.
Yeah. I'm going to concur with that line of thinking. So if you're just joining us, maybe thunder and lightning waking you up around Adrian and Vega. We don't have any warnings right now in our area. We lost those within the last half hour. You know, still a fairly heavy storm there east of Spearman, not really aimed at any communities, and will probably trend down. Storms, for all practical purposes, out of the eastern part of the area. And then the rain up around Texoma, Stratford, non-severe. So what we have left over, and we have some storms staying south of our area. Like a little bit of rain around Paducah. So really the final thing we have to track here tonight is going to be the new stuff in the west. Heading down I-40 or down the I-40 corridor. But meeting in with some kind of more stable boundaries, we think. Could be a little bit of hail southwest of Adrian. Adrian just now starting to get on some of the rain. Not quite to Vega. Little blip just crossing 385 north of Hereford.
Yeah, and I would argue maintaining intensity in Texas as opposed to strengthening, but strengthening in New Mexico.
So definitely got lightning activity out around Ute Lake and the campgrounds there. Okay, still seeing plenty of lightning out west. Okay.
New special weather statement for
That's
southern Lipscomb, southwestern Lipscomb, Hansford, Roberts. Wind gust up to 50, half-inch hail, so below severe limits.
okay. That's our
So-
storm pushing southeast from Spearman. Looks like it's got an outflow dominant there.
Yep, below severe limits, but worth a special weather statement.
Okay. Lorraine South Canadian, no big deal there. A lot of lightning on our Bushland camera. In fact, we're going to have to take a look at that. Okay, the activity we're watching on radar, looking out to the west.
Yeah. Cloud top's cooling rapidly in 2 spots now.
Okay. Lightning is very frequent. That's upticked. I mean, that's, yeah. So if you're...
I think we're seeing our enhancement or our strengthening thanks to the boundaries now. We'll see if it lasts.
Yeah. Okay, so we're kind of monitoring storms out to the west, starting near Vega on 385 and I-40. Bring it down to those. Crossing Highway 385 south of Vega. Raining around Adrian. Approaching Vega pretty rapidly. And then extending back into New Mexico around Logan and Ute Lake. Motion off to the east. Okay, here's the latest image. A couple of new cells popping up just around dawn. Some of the heavier rain now coming into Adrian and Vega. A little bit of a northward development. I think that's a boundary interaction on I-40. But it doesn't appear to be strengthening, really. No severe warnings on this, but plenty of lightning and thunder.
Yeah, if you want something else to look at for a minute, we can go to max 1, and we got an hour's worth of lightning. But in the last couple of frames of that, there is an increase in the lightning output. Not too much, not too much. And then I see a little blast right there at the end.
Yeah. And visually, we've corroborated that.
Right.
Okay, so there's what we have on radar. We have a line of storms from near Logan to Adrian and Vega. And a little bit of new development down towards dawn. This is the nearest activity to Amarillo that we've had today, anyway. Yeah, these storms are holding their own, not really intensifying or reaching severe levels. We're not tracking hail in there, at least to speak of.
Cloud top still cooling a little, but not as rapidly.
Okay. Adrian and Vega, just some rain and lightning. Plenty of that. Storms fired near Logan don't appear to be getting stronger. Individual cells moving east.
Canceling tornado watch for Carson County up to Hansford and further west in Texas.
Okay.
Entire Oklahoma panhandle will also be removed from the tornado watch.
Okay, you just got that down to just a few counties out there, and even there, I think the risk has gone way down.
Alex is here.
Alex.
Wow, Alex.
Oh, yes. I do a fine job.
Beautiful pictures tonight.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
you gave us some good.
The mouth funnels.
Yeah, you gave us some good imagery there. What we're watching here, Alex, is this cluster of storms interacting with these boundaries.
It's crazy. It just showed up in one frame. Just boom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it just lit. So we're waiting to see what this is going to do as it comes east. Doesn't look like I'm seeing any intensification anywhere.
Now I was about to say cloud top cooling has leveled.
You know, we got some decent rain out of Adrian and Vega with plenty of lightning. Out in New Mexico, just kind of holding the same intensity. A little bit of new development down towards dawn, but nothing that's gangbusters.
Although, as I think about it, this is a little concerning for me because rain could be heading toward Amarillo, but seems less likely at my rain gauge in Canyon.
Well, it is my turn this time. But it's not even a done deal that Amarillo gets any of this, because if we start to get a weakening trend, it just won't make it in. Certainly not intensifying, though. I mean, it's some decent rain and a lot of lightning. Coming into Adrian and Vega, I-40. Will Dorado, you're on standby.
They trimmed down the tornado watch.
Yeah, drop some counties there. even though we don't have any warnings out for severe weather, we are here to monitor this activity to the west to see if it does intensify and give us any warnings. Got a little more of a northerly, at least, development on this.
Wow, extending the flood watch, Hansford, Hutchinson, Moore, Roberts, and Sherman counties until 10 a.m.
Wow. Flood watch until 10 a.m.
Also includes Beaver, Hemphill, Texas, Ochiltree, Lipscomb, all until 10 a.m. tomorrow. I said tomorrow, this morning.
Yeah. Lightning still looking pretty frequent on our Bushland cam, looking out the west.
Yeah, and the lightning map confirms that. More and more frequent cloud to ground strikes.
Okay, here's an update. Yeah, pretty solid rain on I-40 now. Adrian and Vega. Approaching Wildorado now.
Yeah, that anvil's spreading, but the cloud tops are not cooling.
Okay. Good news is we're not seeing intensification really.
Weather Service making a comment these are moving really slowly, so that would increase the flooding threat, at least a brief flooding threat, as the heavy rain continues.
Yeah. Groover about to get into a lot more rainfall. No hail this time. Yeah, that northern row of counties in the Texas Panhandle has had a lot of rain. There's more coming in there. So on our stream here, I think we're going to give it a few more minutes, folks, and then if we don't see intensification on this activity out west of Amarillo, we'll probably just end our stream, take a day off tomorrow, and then get ready for Sunday. Kevin, I'm thinking one more image.
Okay.
We'll make a call. It's like getting some good rain around Adrian and Vega now, with plenty of lightning. This rain is staying north of Hereford, beginning to develop towards Dawn and Umbarger, Wildorado, maybe Bushland. Storms in New Mexico are not really intensifying. lightning's still very frequent and getting closer to Bushland. Lots of lightning. Show you what I'm talking about here. There you go. Right on cue. Just watch how many flashes we get in a short amount of time. Looking due west from Bushland. I mean, it's just, wow.
It's a little uptick in the wind on that south edge of the line, northwest of Sims, near that notch. If you look on the velocity.
Okay, yeah. So there's the lightning. And this is what's producing it. Okay. Yeah, it looks like when those boundaries interact, Kevin, kind of we get a spread north, but not an uptick in intensity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm anxious for the new velocity image.
Okay. Tell me when you get that. And I think that's going to end us. Still kind of unclear whether or not any of this will make it to Amarillo, but I'd say probably. It looks like it's coming in non-severe. Just mainly heavy rain across I-40 at Adrian and Vega, creeping up 385 a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's the new image. I'm just intrigued there. But, oh, you know what? I'm looking at FDX. No, I'm not. Now, why is that showing? Oh, different. That was of interest to me.
Yeah, okay.
Just because there was, trying there, that's not heavy, but.
Okay.
Yep. I think it's just a little blast. Okay, here's the new image, and it's largely, yeah, it's done.
Okay. I think we can safely end our continuous coverage here.
Okay, well, we don't want to get called on the carpet by Facebook again for being on too long.
Yeah, that's right. We want to go 7 more hours. So, Kevin, are you hanging around, or you had enough?
Had enough?
Okay.
If you have.
Okay, then in that case, we probably will get rain, and you'll probably see a lot of lightning and some thunder. We haven't had warnings in a while, and we don't really expect that, I think, for the rest of the night. So certainly the tornado risk is down, so I think we're going to end our continuous stream.
Yeah, and that stuff west of Amarillo, not in a tornado watch, so
Right.
not conducive to it, certainly. I think anything that would spin would be very, very quickly just on the back, like a little quick vortice that might not even show up in between scans. So, and we got the cool air behind the multiple boundaries.
To be clear, we haven't had a tornado warning in quite some time here. So, and we don't even have a severe thunderstorm warning. So that's going to do it. Thanks for sticking with us.
5 boundaries now.
That's just
So something's
weird.
causing them there. That must be that 700 millibar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
We're
good
going
night.
home.